Well, I don't know. Let's talk to Portia Berry-Kilby, who is a political commentator and columnist at The Spectator.
Nice.
Do you read The Spectator?
I do, actually. I like The Spectator, yeah.
Do you?
I had a
What is The
subscription.
Spectator? Is it one of those sports magazines?
It's a sort of, conservative.
Oh, there's Portia. Hello, Portia. Good evening to you.
Andrew Neil runs it,
Hi,
isn't
how are you doing?
Isn't Andrew Neil
Yeah,
the
very
editor?
good. Very good. Ah,
Good.
Spectator, it sounded like it was some kind of sports magazine, really.
Yeah. It's been around since
That'll be
1820,
way over my head.
1828, isn't it, The Spectator? Something like that.
Portia's not
It's
that
older
old.
than
Look,
you, Ash.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah,
James remembers
everything-
it. James has got the first issue.
Shut up, Ash, honestly. Portia, welcome. Your thoughts on this? So, not that I often get whistled at by women, and I don't mind too much. It's very nice when they whistle at us, isn't it, Ash?
Yeah,
because
it's a
we
compliment.
are obviously the two best looking
Well, it
guys
is boosting,
on TV and
isn't it?
radio.
It's a boost. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a boost, yeah. But I do understand, and I never fails to amaze me when men who have a few drinks think that they are entitled to talk to any women they like.
Yeah.
Quite often women with me, then they need a little corrective therapy. But sort of making wolf whistling illegal and threatening you with prison is slightly over the top, isn't it?
I totally agree. I think it's pretty excessive for something which is pretty harmless, is a bit cheeky chap. You walk past a building site, get a wolf whistle. You keep on walking if you're not interested. There's no need to criminalize harmless banter and treat someone who's having a bit of fun, doesn't really expect anything in return, and treating them like a criminal.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I've done a really naughty thing this evening, Ash, and you've done no better. I have forgotten to give the warning out to the wokers
to people who
and
get
all the
offended.
easily offended people that they shouldn't listen to this program because we will offend.
It's too late now. We've offended them.
Well,
And
that's
they've
what
heard it.
worries me.
They've probably heard it. We're very
That's what
sorry.
worries me,
We've had to backtrack and apologise and now
Well, we're
leave the
supposed-
room.
Otherwise, people are going to say, oh, we didn't realise it was such a shocking programme and he swears all the time and everything else. So I do apologise if you are easily upset. Sod off.
But it's also sexist, isn't it? Because women do let over men. But that's not going to become a hate crime.
No, it's definitely double standards.
Double standards.
It's also floating the idea that it won't pass of making misogyny illegal, but it's never considered the other way of making misandry illegal.
I mean, I didn't know we were going to turn the conversation quite into this, but, I do apologise, Portia, if you get upset about it. But I do remember my first wife, who used to love going to a particular gay bar in East London where we used to live on the night I think it was a Wednesday night.
Well, that's
because
because
they
she had to pick you up to take you home.
Because they had the strippers on.
Yeah.
And then they banned the women from this pub because obviously a gay place had men's
They kept
strippers.
smacking the men's bottoms, didn't they? Things like that.
Well, women got more carried away than the men, and
They do. They scream.
And of course, if we as men had behaved in that way, we would be in a lot of trouble, and quite rightly.
Yeah.
No, 110%. There are double standards definitely at play, which we see in this. It's inherently it's men doing the wolf whistling normally. It's not also raising the idea of, if women are a little bit forward. It seems very one-sided. And naturally, most of the times it is the men making the unwanted advances. But not always. But
I apologise on behalf of all men, because some men are complete and utter dicks. So, that we do need to apologise for it, I think. But what all this wokery is doing, Portia, I don't know if you agree, as far as I can see, it's actually making people very angry. And it seems that those people in charge, in all, whether in charge of businesses or in politics, are all going for it. I'm in trouble for not attending diversity meetings and things. I have got better things to do, by the way.
But it also wants to outlaw unacceptable and medieval virginity testing. Does that go on still in this country?
What?
Virginity testing. Does that still
I
go
think
on?
in some communities, and obviously things like that are so far removed from whistling at someone. Walking down the street in a wolf whistle should be treated in an entirely different category
Yeah.
from things which are assault, are harassment,
Yeah.
and actually can be threatening to a woman.
Well, it's
But
very
I think
dangerous to
any
conflate
woman
the two
with
things,
brain
isn't it?
cells can keep on walking.
Yeah. It's very dangerous.
Ash, I don't know why you bring these things up, and I do apologise again. I can't trust
No,
him.
it's
But
in the notes.
I mean, oh, is it really? I don't know why we've allowed. Actually, going back to what Ash was saying, I mean, there's all kinds of mutilations of women that's carried out because of religious views.
Well, that's
or-
illegal. That is illegal. Yeah.
Well, a lot of it should be illegal too. I mean,
Well, it is,
circumcision
it is.
for men or women
Well,
should be illegal,
that's
shouldn't
another
it?
debate, isn't it? That's a whole other. I mean,
Well, we had that debate the other
we
night.
like
because
ours, so you know.
we had no choice, and that's
but-
why I'm complaining, because we were mutilated as babies, and we had no choice.
Yeah.
But, sorry, Portia, but these are, these
It's
are
all right.
serious matters.
TMI, but you know.
But wolf whistling, quite right. I mean, this just then turns everything into a joke, doesn't it? You can't, in Wales, we talked about it last night, they are removing the terms man, woman, boy, girl from sex education lessons. Now, how much more stupid can anybody get?
I do wonder, like the generation going through that and being brought up, how confused they're going to be in a few years' time. But you talk to a 5-year-old, they know what a boy is and they know what a girl is. They have an innate sense of that. So it's all of this wokery trying to impose something which isn't the case on the ground.
It's going to
But
confuse them.
why have the government, and who in the government is pushing these things forward, and for what reason? I mean, I could imagine if it was a socialist government, I could sort of imagine them wanting to do it. It's times like this, I just want Margaret Thatcher to be reincarnated and brought back.
Well, do you think the generation of, like, say, who are now 10 years old, when they're 18, do you think there'll be a rebound and it will go the other way and, we'll find an end to this?
Just before you answer that, Portia, do nothing.
Good talk.
Hot talk. Bold talk. Talk radio.
Listen on your
James Whale.
Talk Radio.
Yeah. Evening all. If you want to join us, the number's 03444991000, and I do apologise. Of course, Ash has now turned this interview. Of course, it is something slightly sleazy, which he always does, and I apologise. Portia Berry-Kilby, have I got that right, Portia? I think I have.
You have, indeed.
Political commentator and columnist of The Spectator. What sort of column do you write?
Well, I think that's somewhat misleading. I've written a few op-eds for them, but I'm not a columnist of The Spectator, however lovely that might be.
Well, one day.
Well, I'm
Getting a bit
I'm
ahead of ourselves. But
I'm a columnist for the Daily Express, but
Yeah, and used to be in the
everybody takes
sport,
the
didn't
mick
you?
out
The
of it.
Daily Sport used to be a column.
There's nothing wrong with the Daily Sport. They used to pay very well.
There's a very
yeah.
big column in there.
I did have a very big column in there. I've got a bigger one in the Express, though. Yeah. Although, of course, now I'm having a couple of weeks off. It's Christmas, isn't it?
That's right.
very nice it is indeed.
Yeah.
Size doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's the quality of the wordage, isn't it?
Also, as the director of the All-Party Parliamentary Group for International Freedom of Religion or Belief, I'm well known for being completely non-religious and rather wishing religious people would keep quiet about what they did. But we are a country that welcomes anybody of any religion, aren't we?
No, that's very true. I think, especially when you look compared with other countries abroad, we're incredibly welcoming and hospitable, and in many places it is a melting pot of cultures, as the saying goes.
But isn't it the religious, very religious people, of which there are a few left, isn't it those people who are driving this wokery?
The religious people are driving the wokery?
Yeah, I mean, they're ones who want us not to offend or not to do anything that might cause offence.
Oh, I think the wokery have actually infiltrated the church, and they've infiltrated.
so?
Yeah, I think it's the other way around.
I think especially this day and age, at least in the UK, wokery kind of permeates every angle of life.
Yeah.
I think younger people tend to be more woke. I think liberal people are naturally going to be more woke, and the Conservative Party aren't quite as resistant to it as one might hope.
No, they're not resistant to it at all, and that seems to me, whether it's Boris or whatever, a lot of them have decided they don't want to offend this particular generation because it's not everybody. I mean, the new generation, the sort of 18-year-olds going to university now, seem a lot more feisty.
Well, I mean,
think
look at
I've
the
got
other day,
hiccups.
a columnist for The Spectator, Rob Liddell, what happened to him in Durham. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
terrible,
Yeah,
isn't
poor
it?
old
It
Rod.
was ridiculous.
I mean, they're feisty and outspoken on certain things, and often the logic kind of falls pretty flat with many more holes in than a net curtain in many cases,
Yeah.
and want to deplatform someone because they think he's transphobic.
Because they disagree
bigot,
with him,
when
basically, yeah.
I disagree
Well,
with
we-
the Durham students cancelling Ros Liddell.
I mean, it is a bit silly, isn't it? It's also, we had one a student on Sophie who very anti all the sort of cancelling and everything else. She was very good and often see her. Yeah,
Corcoran.
that's right, Sophie Cochrane. But we had another one who was a complete and utter, I don't not use that word.
The one who walked out, yeah.
Yeah, we had to cut him off because he actually hadn't heard what Rod Liddell had said. He walked out as a big campaign because they were all going to do it. And pathetic and stupid is, what are we going to do with the generation who are about to leave university and can't be offended? Some of them may get into politics.
And heaven forbid, it's a very bleak outlook. I think, to go back to the wolf west thing, right? It's kind of playing running to teacher if someone pulls your pigtails. But then you're an adult, you should be able to just be good, polite, old-fashioned, firm but fair, be like, no thanks.
But
Even
it's
if
dangerous,
it needs
isn't
that.
it? It's conflating that with violence against women, and so that's actually a very
Actually,
dangerous
yes, it
thing,
is.
isn't it?
Yeah.
To conflate
And
that.
it's shifting like the resolution to someone else. You can't just deal with it yourself. It's as though you haven't ever grown up and can't deal with your own problems.
Yeah, because I've heard a lot of women who are like maybe James's
Pulling
age,
your
going,
hair.
going, well, why don't you know? In my day, you'd slap the bloke if that happened and stuff like that. And, you know,
Exactly. A good like tap across the face, and I think he quickly knows his place. You don't need to involve the police. Come on.
I was very upset not long ago. We were having this discussion and talking to my wife and my stepdaughter and some friends, and I'm absolutely amazed. Not one of them, of varying ages, said they had not been frightened by a man when walking home at night. And I just find that really, and you're nodding, so
it's those men
I
that go up to
presume,
women
Portia.
and won't leave them alone. Basically, that's what.
yeah.
It is,
Well, why are some men like this? Why are they behaving in this way? Or had they always behaved in this way?
I think there's always been blokes like that.
There's always been weird men, yeah, and I think it's unfortunate that we have to extrapolate from a few actual like nut jobs to the rest of the half the population. And I think in many cases, if there is a bloke out like following you, often to see another guy who looks half decent is really reassuring, rather than seeing another woman. Sometimes it's nice to see another man. So I think it's unfortunate that everyone gets tarnished with the same brush when men as men aren't the problem. It's just a few who spoil it for everyone else.
I think we're going to start a campaign against those sleazebags, really, Ash, don't you? I think we should... because when somebody gets, you know, who has been following a woman who crosses the road to follow whatever, maybe when they're caught, or maybe if they can be prosecuted in some way, they should get quite a long sentence that would prove to other people, don't do it.
Yeah. I remember there was this former policeman, wasn't? Well, he was a policeman at the time, and he tried to stop this woman. He grabbed her arm, and she hit him, and then he arrested her. He was drunk, and then he got sacked, of course. But you know, he
But was
one of
that
those-
policeman who tried to arrest a woman and then got her in his car, took her away, raped her,
right.
and killed her? So
exactly.
you know, it is quite a serious situation of men from all walks of life that behave in this way.
Of course.
And that you don't. Yeah. I mean,
awful.
women will, as we said before, a woman might come up and if you're a male stripper, give you a smack on the bum or do other things to you, but a woman's not going to follow you home, really.
No. And there's always obviously a power dynamic,
Yeah.
just biologically, if we dare say this day and age that men and women are different. Men have
Well, I'm
the
glad you
strength of
said
a
that.
hand.
I'm glad you said that, Portia, because today one of the things I've been going on about and getting really annoyed about is the continual harassment of J.K. Rowling. And now they're going to take her name off some of the plays, some of the stories she wrote, or put it in very small because apparently she's offended the trans community so much. Well, you know, the trans community, of which I have no problem with somebody being, going from one sex to the other. I've friends. I've no problem with that at all. What I have a problem with is people who think one day they'll identify as one sex, another day they'll identify with something else, and they think it's all a big laugh. It's not. And, you know, there are only two sexes, male or female. I mean, there are some who are sadly landed, if you like, in between. But there are basically only two sexes that make other human beings, a man and a woman.
Which is very confusing, like we were saying, for children, isn't it? I mean, I can't understand it. How does a 5-year-old
And I think
understand it?
the trans lobby, so to speak, who are harassing J.K. Rowling over this, they harm their own cause, because J.K. Rowling doesn't want to discriminate against trans people. She just wants to ensure there's certain things in place to protect women, that you can't just turn around one day, having been a man for the past 30 years, like, oh, I think I'm a woman, so then I can go into a female prison and harass more women.
Or to a woman's toilet.
Anti-trans. That should be a sensible thing.
Or even
to
if
say.
she has a view that isn't that, that's just she shows you're either born a man or a woman. That is her right to have that opinion,
and not to be harassed by a bunch of idiots who. And they need to be taken on. Yet nobody,
and especially actors that have earned millions from her.
are
now turning against her.
Those actors, and they should be absolutely exposed. I mean, even the little guy with the glasses, I think, was having a go, wasn't
Harry
he?
Potter. Yeah,
yeah, Harry Potter. Well, he's a useless actor. Have you ever seen him? He is about the most unprepossessing actor I've ever seen. He should go away and hide somewhere. But just
He's
nobody's
got about one facial expression.
Yes, Portia, you're absolutely right. He does have one facial expression, and that's all he ever uses.
Yeah.
But
it's like a sort
J.K.
of constipated
Rowling has,
expression, isn't it?
You know, whether you're a fan of her work or not, she has huge fans. She's written some stuff that will be in the British sort of history of books for a long, long time to come. Yeah. And she is being cancelled, if you like, because nobody seems to be standing up for her. Because this bunch of moronic idiots who go on screaming and shouting, a lot of people seem to want to just placate them and then carry on. And what worries me, Portia, and perhaps you can tell me before we have to take a break, is that it suddenly has become a standard thing to do. You know, everybody, or you must behave in this way, otherwise you're going to be in trouble. You mustn't say this, you mustn't say that. Yeah. I make a point of saying
destroy
all
your
those
life.
things you mustn't say.
I mean, J.K. Rowling's, you know, they're not going to destroy her life. I mean, but certain people, that, you know, like Jeremy Clarkson,
destroy ours,
you can never destroy. But certain people, you know, you can ruin their careers, can't you? You know,
yeah, it's incredibly tragic. And I think there's definitely a sense of hesitancy to say anything like you just said, Ash. Male, female, there are two sexes, two genders. It shouldn't be a different thing. But on the other side, there is no hesitancy to come out with crazy newfangled ideas, and they'll do it utterly shamelessly. So maybe a bit of more just oomph on the other side, and not
people are scared to do it, because of the cancel culture.
Do you think that we have too many politicians who are just too scared, that all they want to try and be as politically correct as possible, and you know, or is it the fact that it is the civil service who are running the country and they're all about 10 years old?
Maybe it's a bit of both. I think civil servants should perhaps not all. Maybe a diversity of voting patterns amongst the civil service would help, as they all seem to vote the same way, which doesn't do us any favours. And similarly, I think many of the MPs is just a hill they're not willing to die on these things. They know they think it's more divisive than it is. Whereas I think of many people across the country, just sensible folk who think there is such a thing as
that's a saving grace, isn't it? That's the saving grace.
Yeah.
The sensible people must rule again.
I think they do.
Will all three of us start a new...
Fight the good fight.
You'll have to put this in your next column. Portia, thank you very much indeed for
hasn't
spending
got a
time
column,
with us.
But she will be.
She's occasional column. Occasional column.
Yeah.
She's gone now. That was Portia Berry-Kilby, political commentator and columnist at The Spectator, occasionally. Thank you very much indeed. Back